Welcome back to Tight Lining Maryland. Today we're going to tight line Euro Nymph a small stream. We decided to travel into Pennsylvania and get a little bit away from home today. Actually a good ways away from home. And just try something different. So we're out here fishing this small stream. I suspect single with occasional double nymphs are going to be what we need to do. Given it's late summer, I think a green weenie on this 11'3" Thomas & Thomas rod with our micro rig, I have a feeling that that should be good enough to get some fish, but occasionally if we run into deeper holes or tougher water, we'll add a little bit extra weight and tip it, and we'll go with 2. But let's get to fishing, and thank you for tuning back in. There we go. That's always a rewarding fish, just simply because he's sitting in a spot that requires a really good drift and in contact quick. So he ate this green weenie, and he ate it as soon as it fell into that little pocket where I thought a fish might be sitting. So good summer water in terms of, like, you know, just reading where fish might be sitting. Thin little riffles, kind of the heads of a pool. Something with a lot of oxygenation, and sure enough, this really colored up brown was right where he's supposed to be, and we'll get him back. So gorgeous reds on that guy, right back into his chute. So right in about a foot of water, moving pretty quick. You know, again, gotta stick your landing, gotta make a good cast, and if you do and all the variables play out, then in which case you get a couple more fish throughout your day for doing the little things right. All right, so we just stuck that fish in a watershed like this. I don't suspect that he's going to be in there with many more. The water's pretty thin, but you know, just talking about, like, why do we get that fish? Because ultimately that's what makes it so that you can go out and replicate. You look at all these current seams and all of the moving water. We're in a season where these fish are out for highly oxygenated water. They're looking for stuff that's moving the bugs right to them. They don't have to expend much energy. And there's a nice little soft pocket where you have lanes of current pushing all the food in. And then we start thinking about, well, what will we use? Now, granted, good presentation will trump a fly, but you know, you look around and you see all these trees. You got to think, here it is September. You know, an inchworm would be something that, in theory, should be. There goes another one. I don't know what this one is. I don't know if it's a light brown or, yep, light brown. But yeah, he was in there with a friend. Hook's already out. But the point is that, like, in terms of what might they be eating, we're at a time of year where terrestrial season is still upon us. I would say terrestrials go kind of into October, and then they start to die off a little bit. And those hoppers, ants, and beetles, they're not going to be quite as effective. But that inchworm is still a pretty deadly fly for about the next 2 to 4 weeks. And if you can put it in lanes that ultimately are dislodging some of these bugs and carrying some of these inchworms down the stream, then you just might be able to pick off a couple extra fish in a small little bucket like that. So pretty cool. All right, so I can tell we don't quite have enough depth or weight even though earlier we caught some fish with this single fly. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a fly on, and we're gonna fish 2 here. So let me make some changes. We'll get back to fishing. I suspect we'll be able to get 1 maybe here, and if we're lucky, another one up there. Okay, let's get back to fishing. We now have on 2 nymphs, and one of them is basically a waltz imitation that is called the bread and butter from Trout Bitten, and the other is still that green weenie. So we have that green weenie on the point because it's a 3.5, and then I've got the bread and butter on the tag floating just a little bit higher up in the water column. So I'm gonna try to see if either one of those, there's a little take. Either one of those is what the fish want on the menu, but we just needed some more weight and we definitely needed some more depth. So couldn't get away with a single fly there. There we go. Looks like we got a rainbow, which I've never caught this far down, but that's cool. He took the green weenie. Decent little fish too. Oh, there we go. So it should be just a stocked fish that moved around in the system and held over. But always nice that these fish can survive through the summer and maybe even hold over into the next year. Almost took off. Yeah, definitely a stock fish. Those pec fins are a little nubby, but they're the worst to handle, that's for sure. All right, bud, we're getting you back. There you go. Off you go. But like I said, it was just a matter of weight, and it wasn't even the fly. We just needed to get down, and that extra bit of tippet along with the bread and butter nymph just allowed that bug to get down just to the depth it needed for that fish to be able to eat in the lane that he was in. So again, if we're lucky, we'll be able to get 1 or 2 out of each little section. So we're into our last spot, and the morning treated me well when I didn't have the camera. As mentioned before, probably about a dozen fish with a couple nice ones in there in the 15 to 17 inch range. And now we're fishing a Class A stocked part of the stream, and we'll see if we can't pick off a couple more. I've not fished through this section much, maybe once, but I don't even know if I got through this exact part. So we will do a little bit of exploring, hope that we find a couple deep holes, but if nothing else, just try to find a couple chutes that have at least a foot of depth. So let's see what we got over on the other side. Little guy, lost him. Sitting right where he's supposed to be, in that little pocket underneath of a tree, right by a rock, fast current. But just popped him off as I lifted, so didn't get a good hook set. Another little guy. Oh, came off at my feet. Came off at my feet. Just missed. Another little take. Try to run it back through there and see if we can't produce another eat. Ooh, lucked into that one. Didn't even know you were on, my friend. But man, look at this fish. Emaciated as all get up. Sitting in that run, just exhausting energy, but thin as hell. Sadly, I did you no favors because I fooled you like it was fake food. Get that guy back. Look at that. It's so thin. Feel bad for you, bud. You don't look so good. Alrighty, so we're back in action. We picked off one little brown over there, a little rainbow sitting in this riffle right up ahead of me, and we're gonna try to keep moving up through and grab a couple more for you before we head out officially. But good day on the stream. Glad I made the trip. Glad that we didn't just do the usual, and you know, it's always nice to get out of your comfort zone and explore a little bit. Here's another one. Right in the riffle. This kind of little, I guess you call it lob, but small little cast into him, and just enough to be able to put it in the head and I shouldn't say the head, right behind that rock that's over there, and allow it just to fall in just in enough time to get down into a spot where a fish should be sitting. And luckily that's where he was. Let's get him back. But yeah, we wanted to get the cast right into here so it could drop down into this little bucket where all the currents converge, because usually anytime currents converge, that's a good spot for a fish to hold. And yeah, that's where he was. So we couldn't get it down Broadway whenever we cast into the middle, but when we put it on this right side and let it connect right there, that's where that fish was, and that's where we got our eat. So we're gonna try this and up through there, and that's gonna be the end of it for today. You know, it's been a good day. Wish we got more on film, but yeah, it's been fun. There we go. He hit a couple times right in that exact spot. And again, another. Now this on the other hand gives me thinking that there's a chance there's wild bows in here, but par marked little bow. I'm just gonna hold him up another second, but you can clearly see that's a pretty fish, pretty unmarked, and you know, just slice of perfection sitting in that faster water. But I got tagged a couple times coming through there, and it was just a matter of time if I could get a good drift right through that spot. And sure enough, there he was. Ooh, a little better one. Little better one sitting in the head of that run. Now he's trying to get back up to his home. Nice brown. Yeah, there we go. That's cool. Fly pops out as soon as it hits the net. Really, oh, there he goes. Really nice wild brown in that top pocket. That's the type of fish that, you know, is rewarding, because you had to, just to show you, you had to kind of get everything set up. We don't necessarily have to water load it, but we got our cast behind us, made a long one, stuck that landing, put it in the faster stuff, and he ate pretty quick right there, boom. And yeah, when you get a 10 to 12 inch fish in a piece of water like that, you really start to feel that you got it dialed in. So that's exciting. That's gonna wrap it up for Tight Lining Maryland. It was a fun and successful day on the river. I wish I had brought my GoPro with me the whole day, because our best fish came early, but it was a lot of fun, and thankfully the small stream was able to yield some nice fish for us, and quite a good number of them. So I appreciate you tuning in as always, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Tight lines.